Let's build on the summary data that we created in the last chapter by making a data table. It will be similar to the table we created here using index match match. However, we won't have to use any formulas. We can just have Excel build it for us dynamically. The first thing we need to do is pick an output that we want to sensitize. So what I'm going to do in this case is, first of all, I'm going to open up all of these sections. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up and in the analysis section, under the sensitivity or percent change, I want to select the 2020 net income and press enter. So I'm going to build a sensitivity analysis table that tells me what 2020 net income will be under a variety of scenarios. The first scenario is what I'm going to pick is the 2015 starting net income. The 2015 net income number is what everything builds on. So let's try and think about what would happen if that number started at a different point. It starts at 165 million. But let's imagine that, that we would want to see what would happen if the business started at, let's just say, 125. And then I'm going to add increments of 20 million. And I'm going to copy this down. So 165 is in the middle of the data table, which is the scenario we're currently running. And then across the top, I'm going to put in changes in revenue growth. So let's say that over and above the current forecast, revenue growth is 20% lower. And then I'm going to add to that increments of 10, so 10% lower, 0% difference, 10% higher, and 20% higher. I can now make this a percentage by saying Alt-HP, and I'm going to add a 0 to it. So let's select this entire data table, holding down Control-Shift, the down arrow, and the right arrow to select the entire data table. Now I'm going to press Alt, A for data, W for what if analysis, and T for table. It's now asking me to input the row cell. So what number is actually driving the changes in these percentages across the top? That's actually coming from this cell right here, where we have a change that's impacting as running a scenario to impact the income statement. And then on the column, it's also asking me what the starting revenue number is. So that's this number right here, 2015 starting revenue. I press OK. And I scroll down to the data table, and I have all these values here. I just need to do some formatting. So I'm pasting special, as we've done so many times here in this course, and paste it as formats. And a quick initial check is to see what happens if I go to 0 change in the revenue forecast and I have the same starting base. I get 78,307,000. 78,307,000 as the 2020 net income. And that's correct. That's what we have in our income statement right now. So we can now see that if the revenue growth year over year is 20% below forecast, well, our net income in 2020 is going to drop dramatically from 78 million to 44 million. And that's if we started at a lower revenue number as well. Or conversely, if we were to start at a higher revenue number and a higher growth rate, we could get to 121 million. So this is helpful as sort of a what if or scenario analysis to see that as revenue growth changes or our starting point were to change, we have different ending points. Now, just some formatting here. I'm going to make this white colored font. And the reason that I'm going to do that is because it's a little bit confusing to see that number there in a data table, the way we're going to organize it here. So I'm going to bold the inputs here, and I'm going to put a border across the top, Alt-H-BP, and I'm going to put a border across the side, Alt-H-B-R. And so now I've got a nice little data table here, and I can actually label it across the top. This is 2020 net income. And I'm going to take this and select the entire size of the data table. I'm going to press Control 1, and under the Alignment tab, I'm going to center this across selection. Sometimes people are tempted to merge cells for centering and then center. It's best practice not to merge cells, as it really does not make for easy moving around within the model. It's much cleaner to have this centered across selection. So I've got it centered across selection. Maybe let's put a little border around this, or we might want to change the background color to be like a very, very light gray here. Something of your choice. But now what we've got, and I'm actually going to, just for formatting purposes, cut this and paste it here. So we've got everything aligned to the left. And you'll notice that now I'm getting these number signs here because the column is not wide enough. If I press Control Spacebar, I can automatically select a column. Then I'm going to press Alt-H-O for format cells and W for column width. So I'm just going to increase this a little bit to, let's try 10, and that seems to fit nicely. So now I've got a very clean summary data section here where I've got this 2020 net income table, and I can change any of these numbers. So I'm gonna hard code this, or it is a hard code rather, so I'm going to make it blue. And same with this one here, I'm going to make these blue. And we've got this nice little data table linked up here. We're now going to do a break-even analysis using GoalSeek. Let's say, for example, that I want to know in 2016, what revenue growth rate would it take compared to 2015 to have a break-even net income? And one way to do that would be to go down to scenario 1, which we're currently running, and try typing some numbers in. Let's say I type in -20%, and I scroll up, and I see, okay, here's the net income, and now I try 50%, and I say, okay, there's the net income. So I could just do this with trial and error. Another way that I could do it, and I'm scrolling down to the summary section here, is to use GoalSeek. So I'm just going to type here break even net income, and then I'm going to put here 2016 revenue growth. And so what I want to know, I'm going to type a number here, and we're going to just put it as an output, but let's just say it's negative 50%. And let's make that blue. And let's align that in the center. Okay, so I want to know what the break-even net income is in 2016 based on 2016 revenue growth. So one way to do that is to go up here, and on the 2016 net income, I'm going to now go into GoalSeek. Alt-A, W for what if analysis, G for GoalSeek. So I want to change this value to be 0 by changing, and then I'm going to select the 2016 revenue growth rate assumption in this scenario that's currently running, scenario 1, and press OK. And I can see here that it's 74.5%. Now I'm going to press cancel because I don't want to leave that value in there. I'm going to cancel it, and then I can go down here and put in negative 74.5%. So because this business, this is a totally hypothetical business that we made up, has a very heavy component of variable costs, it can sustain a very large swing in revenue without going into negative net income. Probably not very realistic, but it is because this business has mostly variable costs. So just to test it out, if we were to put in, let's just say negative 77%. That should tip it over to the point to become negative, and it did. And let's just try if it's only negative 74. We see that it's positive, and so we can see how it was able to hone in on the exact result through trial and error. So we've just put this down here. Break-even net income in 2016, 74.5% using GoalSeek. So now that we've done our break-even analysis, I think we're good in terms of this summary data section. So let's hold Shift and the down arrow and then press Shift spacebar, and we're going to group these cells. Alt A Z O G G, and I'm going to collapse everything up, and now we're all formatted and ready to continue on.